Hello, humans. Welcome to the M-Word podcast, brought to you by Martin. That's me.
And Matt.
That's him. Today we're joined by Doc. Hello, Doc.
Hi, Martin.
And Max. Max, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Thanks for both joining us.
Pleasure.
We thought it was a great opportunity with, obviously, everything you do, world famous Tilbury.
Oh, God.
You do it on the Isle of Man as well. And obviously, Max, you recently signed first full professional contract with EFE, and you came through Dots League as well. So there's a great kind of dual story there that we can chat about, if that's all right. We thought maybe just to start off, Dot, people obviously know you for the NSC and the work you do there with the Mark Cavendish Raceway, but perhaps just for the listeners, a bit about your sort of working background, just to give people a bit of a...
My working background?
Yeah, just
what I did.
Yeah, and how you got into cycling?
Oh, well, it's a roundabout way. But I was quite arty at school. I wanted to go to photography college because I wanted to make films. And I got a place in a college. And then I was off the era where I just wanted to earn some money. So I asked my mother if she had any relations down in London. And she had two aunties who were dancers in dodgy nightclubs. So I got in touch with one of them, Auntie Edna, and asked her if I could come and stay with her until I found a job and some digs. And I just went down to London and stayed with Auntie Edna. And she said they're wanting people in Harrods for Christmas. So I worked in Harrods for Christmas and stayed there for 3 years. And I was known as the girl with a funny accent. But loved it. And I loved retail. And then I was offered another job because I was told by the assistant buyer at the time I wouldn't get on in Harrods because I didn't talk properly. And I'd his wife worked in Oxford Circus in a place called Peter Robinson's, which had the top shop, which was just taking off. And I could be a supervisor and increase my pay packet, which I did, and I went from £7 a week to £30 a week. Mm-hmm. And that was a huge fortune then. Absolutely, it was a huge fortune now, but, it was a lot of money. And I stayed there and had a great time, loved it. And then I went back to the Isle of Man. Okay. And
what brought you back here? Family?
Just time, just time to come back. Mm-hmm. And I decided, I went down the Dole office to see what jobs they had, and I just stood in the queue and thought, oh, God, I can't be doing with this. So I put a notice in the local post office and said that I would do wallpapering, because I could wallpaper. So I thought it'd just get me a bit of money while I'm looking for a job. And then I applied to the post office. And that was the greatest move I made.
And spent the rest of your career there?
I'd spent the rest of my career there. Mm. So that's me in a
what age did
podcast. 63.
Okay. A couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And Max, obviously, just starting your professional career, but we maybe tie that back. You're obviously not long out of school. So obviously professional wise, but looking at maybe the cycling development through let me just talk about those early years of what you remember going to Dots League. We'll call it Dots League. I appreciate it's RL360, a wonderful sponsor there. But what do you remember about those early days? I presume folks taking you down and just letting you go up merry hell.
Yeah, so I think I started by my friend at school told me, I'm going every week to this race in the NSC. It's really fun, you should go. So then his parents told my parents, and I went down and loved it. I think that was when I was 7. I think I first started going, and then I remember the first time going around, I think I had a blue number on my back.
Oh, blue number,
around, I think I was 6 plates, and I was like, I want to win next week. And then came back and got a bit better and just kept going. And I think, just had so much fun doing that.
Are you competitive by nature?
I am quite competitive sometimes. I'm quite relaxed.
What would somebody else say? They say you're competitive.
Yeah, my family, it is board games getting out of Christmas. They definitely sound very competitive, but in general, I'd say I'm relaxed, but sport-wise, I think I'm quite competitive.
So you think that arena where you've got kids from the age of 4, is it?
Oh, no, 2 months. No, they do balance. We do balance bikes now,
Okay.
so they come down. As long as they can ride a balance bike, they can go do a lap, and you'd be surprised at some of them. They can whiz round on those balance bikes.
Mm.
So 2-ish if they can sort of get their legs going.
So with that
Yeah.
age, how many are down?
Your Sammy's been down with his little fella.
Yeah, he's down. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, give me 18 months and I'll probably
Yeah.
little one. But yeah, how many do you see down there overnight then? Like what?
Well, when we started, we had 14, and that was with Alec Forrest and John Purvis started it all. And then sadly, after a few years, Alec died very suddenly, and it was a big blow. And John had started his business with the catering equipment, and Marty Wasley and Mike Nico were down there, and I said, "Oh, I'll take it over. There's only 14 kids. We'll, can't be that hard."
Well, sorry, but come back. What prompted that? What prompted you to say, the collective group there, let's host this event?
Oh, it was John Purvis's and Alec Forrest's idea, and they went to the Isle of Man CA and said, "Oh, it was after the swimming pool and everything were built, and the sports centre and the athletics track and everything, and the bit round the outside where people like Steve Jochen and everybody used to race was still in a bit of a mud bath." So the Isle of Man CA went and said, "Look, this has got to be tarmac because, it could be used as a track." So they got it tarmacked. So then John Purvis and Alec Forrest said to the CA, "We should do this for kids like they used to with Steve Jochen, etc." And nobody was interested. The CA should do it anyway. Nobody was interested. So Alec and John started it with the wheelers. And I went down to help with Mike Nico and a few others. And there was various people there. And we had 14 kids. And they ranged from age 15 down to about 5. So if you divide that, you had about 2 people in a race. So I used to bring fancy dress stuff down. So just to sort of make it a bit more fun. And they used to have to put fancy dress on and then go for a lap on their bikes. And we used to have Le Mans starts. And then we had a running race and a bike race, anything just to keep them all busy. And then gradually it started to get a little bit more popular. And we had a few more, but it was never more than 30 odd. But we thought we were cooking on gas by this time. And then when that happened, the first season, we didn't have any money. And John Purvis brought all his cycling trophies in, took all the metal bits off with his name on, and every kid got a trophy or something. And I made some cakes, and that was it. And then once I took over myself, it started to grow a little bit. And we got up to 100 people, and this was just amazing. We thought, God, 100 people, and then Marty had devised the way we run it now, where they come out the bottom entrance and line up, and then logistically, it was Marty Wasley's idea how to do it. And that's how we run it today. And it was how we did the Mark Cavendish Lap of Honour when he came back from getting the 35. And it's just snowballed. But the best year, wait till I tell you this, the best year was when Mark Cavendish won the World Championships. And it was because it was all masterminded in Copenhagen, I think, was it? And the next year, guess how many people we signed on?
Great.
672 kids.
Yes.
And that was quite a lot.
Yeah, it just shows the impact, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
No pressure, Max.
Yeah.
The impact of
It was.
professionals from the island.
And then, of course, Peter Kanyik, he won the gold medal in the Olympics, and that was another big landmark. And Mark was...
I think that was the same year.
Yeah, it was the same year. It was all a wonderful year, and they just inspired so many. And and there it is.
Do you remember them in It's got to be 11 years ago now, 12 years ago?
Yeah, massively. I remember used to be like the people you'd look up to and sort of the hero to kind of strange to be their friends now.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask that question because when he's around, you catch up with him. I don't know, obviously the Astana connection. So yeah, what's that like having, I suppose, a hero, if that's the right term, or someone to aspire to then spend time with him? And
Yeah, it's still strange because I'm still a fan of Cav.
Yeah.
This year at the tour, I'm still cheering him on, and even when I go out with him now, it's like, oh, I get to ride it with Cav, even though sort of on the same team as him. But yeah, when you're growing up and you're going on the group rides, and they sometimes you're just really excited to ride with him. And
Yeah.
even with Pete Kennick, he was the team manager of my team last year on Trinity, and he was also my coach. So that was quite interesting, just speaking to him most weeks and going to races with him.
yeah, obviously, well, the knowledge to share with
He
you.
had so much knowledge to share, and at races he was so good at and you had to do the race and
Yeah,
had to get the best out of yourself.
And at that level, as you're coming through, is it earpiece talk or is it all pre-race tactics?
Some is the earpiece, some isn't.
Okay.
So all the under 23 races they tell you what to do before.
Okay.
No earpieces, but the races that you do against the pros is earpieces.
Better?
I think I prefer not to have it.
Oh, really?
So just to sort of
Race.
get on with there's benefits, and it depends. If you're doing well, then you want it, but if you're not doing so well, you got something shiny you don't hear. But sorry, it's not working.
Yeah, some feedback. Sorry.
Yeah.
So before we dig into some more of the questions and where we're at, we want to just play a quick quiz. And since we were talking Manx before, it's only yes/no answers, so it's that easy. So I'm calling this genius, by the way, just for everyone. The name of the quiz is yes sir or nay boy. So yes sir is for yes, nay boy is for no. Obviously, you see it in a Max accent as well, which you'll be fine with. And so they're really basic questions, but I'll start with you, Max, if you don't mind. So the answers are either yes sir or nay boy. Obviously with that accent. So do you believe in the importance of mental training as opposed to physical training?
Yes, sir.
Or yes, it.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like giving up cycling in this journey to this point?
Yes, sir.
Interesting. Will you compete in the Tour de France one day?
Yes, sir. Hopefully.
Is talent more important than hard work in cycling?
Nay boy.
Maybe. So let me go with, do you believe that anyone can be successful cyclists with the right dedication?
Yes, sir.
Dosh. Or any yes or no?
What's the medium one?
That's why I say yes sir and no sir.
These are controversial questions. Some of
That's what I'm asking. Do you believe that anyone can be successful cyclists with the right dedication?
Oh, it's a tough one, that. I don't want to commit.
I'll let you pass. I'll give you a pass. Oh, and then one more for you, Dobby. Do you think there's too much focus in winning in youth sports?
No.
It should be more about development.
Too much focus on winning. It's another medium one. It's I'm going down the middle. Oh,
yes, nay, sir.
And yes, nay, sir. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So let's maybe just talk, if you don't mind, with you, Promote Max, just around. I think if you think about milestones so far in your career, see the next one you're at right now. You look back at it, because it's different steps from, I suppose, racing Dosley to racing in the UK with the locals to then the Astana step, Trinity step. When you look back at all those different steps, what was the biggest step in that process for you, and I suppose physically and maybe mentally?
I think the hardest one was from junior, which is under 18 to under 23. The races are nearly twice as long sometimes, and the under 23s now, a lot of them are just as good as the pro riders. Like a lot of the under 23s I've done, it'll be exactly the same power that I would do in a pro race to keep up. I think that was the hardest step.
How long did it take to adjust?
It took me maybe 3-4 years. It wasn't until like the end of the third year of under 23 that I started actually getting decent results in it.
And do you see that normally the case then? Because I say, as you are, maturing and getting stronger, those lads naturally would have thought the high, 22, 23 guys are the ones that are up there racing. Is there that expectation when you're coming into there? Very much that start. It's just that early getting to understand the tactics, the makeup, the length, the dynamics of it all as you go in that sense.
Yeah, I think it's been made a bit harder recently because there's so many young riders who just go straight from junior and they win all these under 23 races. And I don't get how they do it because it wasn't the same for me and a lot of other riders. And traditionally, it takes most people 3 or 4 years to be able to make the next step to pro, which is what's taken me 5 years now. So when I was 18 and I first joined under 23, I was looking at the 22-year-olds like, I'm racing against men here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to need a few more years to get to their level. But then,
And are people around you telling you this, or are you kind of assessing based on?
yeah, some people tell you like, you've got a few more years to develop. But at the time, when you're young, you just want to
Now,
do it now. I'm going to do it now. But yeah, it does definitely take time. And it did definitely for me.
do you think, Doc? I mean, you've obviously seen cycling evolve over the years, and many sports now where, example, when you go to Tour de France winners and they were kind of mature 28, 30-year-olds, and now they can win it at 22, 23 years old. Do you think that's a good professionalism in this sport in general and the seriousness of how young kids take it? So like 12, 13-year-olds living like professionals. Do you think that's what's brought the age barrier down for being better earlier?
Well, obviously Sky had a lot to do with it because they went out with Dave Brailsford and, started winning everything. And that sort of inspired British riders. Because before that, I remember a chap coming over here, Tony, I can't remember his second name, but he had like a team that he put in the Tour de France, and it was a British team, and it was unheard of. But then, when the Ineos, Sky came in, it was just like all of a sudden they were winning. And it did inspire people. And they thought, God, we can do it. You don't have to be French or Belgian or whatever, and they certainly inspired a nation. And I know locally, we've always punched above our weight. When you look at the tiny little island we've got, and you look at all these books that we've got, and you go, God, these kids were so good, and they had a maturity about them. And I think it was because, you as a young lad could go out and you might be riding along Peter Kenyon or Mark Cavendish. And as you say, it's a real sort of, God, I'm riding here with Mark Cavendish and Peter Kenyon, and they're sort of world tour people.
Do you think, like, obviously take kids away racing as well, do you think that travelling as well, and let's say being outside their comfort zone is again helping their resilience and building their inner strength up to,
absolutely.
things like that.
Absolutely. A British coach once said to me, the Manx riders are the best because they know how to travel. They know they've got to have a boarding card to get on a plane. They know they've got to have a ticket to get off a plane, and they know what to bring to the race. And
almost that adversity is creating, I said, being on an arm, creating that resilience and that life skills, I guess.
Absolutely. And then we get on the boat to go to a race. And I remember we used to go to the Dolands, which was a good starter for the season in the northwest. And we used to go on the 8 o'clock boat to Heysham. And then we had to travel down to Southport, which took a couple of hours. And then we had to book in at the Premier Inn. And, we were getting to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. Then we were up at 7 to go to the park to have the race. But if it was rough going over, the kids were sick and everything. It was, right, now get on your bike and race. And, you get a bit of resilience with that. And they are tough. And like when the little kids go away, you sort of say, no running about the boat. Nearly called it ship then. No running about the boat. You're sitting and they all do. And people say to me, your kids are so well behaved. There might be an odd little one, but, they soon get the hang of it and they're so used to it. They're more professional than the adults in a way. And
I presume you've got fond memories of going away. So they've all been sick on the boat and stuff.
I've never actually absolutely, yeah. But it sounds like it's hard work, but when you're with your mates, it's all I remember is good times. It's always just fun. But it definitely has helped because like now if I go away or a few years when I first had to start doing a talk on my own, it wasn't like I didn't have to think about anything or I didn't even have to do it. And then I get to these, like when I was a junior, I'd have to drive to the UK, then meet the team and drive to Belgium, and everyone else in the team would be absolutely bored. At the time, we got there and tired and sort of given up, but I'd already done it for a few years.
Yeah,
It was just the same, quite easy.
yeah,
It's quite interesting that.
yeah.
So maybe going back to those milestones, we look in maybe more recent years. So the Estonia opportunity, from what I've heard, I don't told you about this, is that came through Mark, that opportunity to ride.
Yeah, I'm not sure completely. I just
okay.
got a message from my agent on
Okay.
a Friday morning in January saying, get yourself to the training camp, they want you there on Sunday. So I got myself there, and I messaged Cav, because I've been speaking to Cav just before Christmas about it, and he claimed he had nothing to do with it.
Oh, right.
I think
Okay.
he probably did.
Yeah, right.
So I went there and did some training with the team and some tests, and they liked what they saw and put me in space in their development team for the year.
And those types of tests, are they like those nice football, like RAM tests, or they just you go out with the team and understand all the?
Yeah, it was a bit of both. Training with the team, I think some of their riders report back, and also we did some lactate testing, which was go up and down a hill, doing harder and harder, and they measured.
Taking blood.
Yeah, taking blood from your ear and testing the levels of lactate in your blood, and just some tests of how hard you can go up the hill.
And then you, like, when you go into that environment, do you feel pressure around that? I need to perform here. This is because you don't get many opportunities at the rally. You don't get many opportunities that you rock up there with a cold, the whole thing could be over, couldn't it?
Yeah, so I didn't really have a team at the time, so I just got to go and treat it like a job interview. I just try to be on my A game the whole time, even like at dinner time, try to be as talkative as possible and as friendly as possible with all the staff.
Yeah, interesting.
Also on the bike, just ride as hard as I can. The bike part's the easy part, because I know how to ride hard, but trying to leave the best impression is a bit hard.
Okay, interesting. Okay. So when did you then find out they were ride for them for the year?
They were talking about it by the end of the camp. I was only there for 3 days, so they were saying that they were interested, but it wasn't confirmed for about another week or two afterwards.
Right.
So I went on a camp straight after it.
Okay. So for education, for those that don't know, there's another team which obviously you just signed for.
Yeah.
Now. Okay.
But I was in talks the year before, but they didn't have any spaces like
Right.
so I got invited on that camp to sort of meet the team as well. So it was after that camp that I signed for Estonia.
Yeah. Okay. So cool.
How do you find the difference between the two camps? Are they all different? As in all their setups, their makeups, are they different? As in you've just gone from Astana and then you go to EF. Did going from one to the other being like, okay, I know what I'm doing here in that sort of sense, or I guess like when you think of companies or any other teams in that sort of sense, is it a culture shock, or do they approach things differently, or as soon as you said, okay, I know, I need to go on my bike and everything will kind of take care of itself?
Yeah, it's like the same fundamental for each camp. So you train hard and just lie in your bed for the rest of the day. But then
Mark does that now.
Culture, it's a lot different, because Astana is a Kazakhstan-based team. So when I got there, I didn't realise, but half the staff were Kazakhstan and half were Italian. It's sort of a mixture of both nationalities. So speaking to the riders was obviously a bit. Most of them just speak English, so they're not perfect English. There's always a bit of a barrier. Then the EF one's an American-based team, but with a lot of English riders and a lot of my friends there. So that one was a lot easier to sort of go through, I'd say, and like a lot more friends and maybe a bit more fun. But the difference between the two camps wasn't that much different in terms of like the support and the ride.
Yeah. And so we reel through the year that, I suppose, let's call it breakthrough year for want of a better expression. The thing that sticks out to me is the British champs, and whether you felt that was the moment where it's like, I can perform on this stage, or maybe you knew that already, or is that a thinking process through the year? Or
well, I'd won a stage or 2 stages in Japan, but that was like the Asia races. I wouldn't say they were as hard as the European ones, so I was happy to win there, but didn't know if it would work out in Europe. And then I think a week and a half after that, I had a race in the Netherlands, which was a pro race, and did well in the time trial there and ended up second on GC, but still, because I finished 4th in the time trial and 2 people crashed ahead. I sort of just had to make sure I didn't lose any time. The rest of the stage, obviously, about there. Still, I didn't know if I was at the right level or not. And then
Did you have an inner belief that you can be or you are?
yeah, I knew I could be, because I know in training I can obviously do the numbers of these good guys,
Okay.
and in training keep up, but in racing it's so different. Everyone in the trail races, it's there's no bad people in there. Like sometimes under 23 races, you're really racing against 40 or 50 people, because the 40 or 50 are really good and the rest aren't as good. But in every race, everyone knows what they're doing, everyone knows how to stay at the front. So in that sense, it's a lot harder. It's not just am I good physically, it's you got to be really good at everything else to get good results. And that national sort of all fell into place.
Yeah. So those that haven't seen the nationals, it was you were about the front. I mean, I remember the nationals. The thing the year before where you were in the break a lot of the day as well, weren't you?
Yeah.
The thing on the cab one was
Yeah.
a lot of the day. And I guess I don't know, looking back at that, whether it was the endurance of that you were still building that, I suppose, strength to last all day. Let's say, where obviously a year on, it seemed the case from observing that.
Yeah, the better endurance and just better at everything generally, better like fueling and drinking, better tactically. It all helps each year.
And like the fueling during the race, is that something now that's pretty natural to you, or is it? I mean, you see it on stems of bikes. It's like drink up to 30k, 40k, or are you pretty good at managing that yourself? I'm still learning.
I am quite good. I didn't used to be very good. I used to cramp all the time. I think that's why I got chopped the year before.
Okay.
But I've got a lot better right now. And yeah, the sheets on the stem, I think some people have it through mine, and I just have on my cycling computer, like it alerts me every 20 minutes.
Oh,
like
okay.
a beep, and it says
Drink
and eat.
Yeah, all right.
It's just if I forgot, eat you idiot.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I think other people have those sheets as well, because their coaches can work out when the best time it is to eat.
Oh, okay.
And try working out that way, but I just aim for about 100 grams an hour, which is quite a lot.
Yeah. I know I've seen, again, appreciate for people this is fairly boring, but or for people who are not into the stat side of it, but like they're saying you can get in a bottle now like 127 carbs, which is something like 4 years ago, like system can't digest that.
Yeah.
I assume you have to just train your body to.
Yeah, and my new coach is quite big on it. I used to just go out and just eat when I was hungry, but now it's every session has a set number of like food you eat in an hour. So,
Don't they say if you're hungry, it's too late to eat?
it is too late, but it's still better to eat.
Oh, no, I know, but, you know.
Hungry or thirsty, then you're probably past the point of...
You know where to.
Yeah.
In that then.
Yeah, my training now, and I've got hard efforts. I have to eat so much just to get my body used to it.
Yeah, okay.
I don't mind that.
And I mean, cycling, again, you'll have seen over the years, weight's been a big factor and it continues to be, obviously, because it's an important part of that dynamic. Have you ever struggled with that, or does it dominate your thinking process or your eating process, or are you fairly relaxed around that?
For me, no. I obviously try to eat clean when I can, but I've never had to restrict myself or anything. But I think I'm quite lucky in that sense. I know a lot of riders that have to work really hard.
And it doesn't stress you out about that?
It doesn't stress me out, no. I took my off season for 3 weeks and I lost 1 kilogram of weight.
Right.
But I think I just probably lose muscle quite easily.
Oh, okay.
But then take that long to put back on. But I do know some riders that really struggle with it.
Yeah.
For me, it's not too much of an issue.
And obviously we come on to now, and it's just been announced, and congratulations to signing for EF. For those that don't know, EF Education, a pro team's been around years. Walters is your guy there.
He's like boss now.
Yeah, the boss. They obviously very much, apart from having really cool kit, which I'm sure you're excited about as well, and cool bikes. They're also very promoting on clean racing as well, and leading the charge on that. And also, certainly in the last year, they've made, as an observer of cycling, the results have picked up. I think they struggled for a couple of years as well. So I'd imagine, outside of asking the question about the excitement when they, I guess, re-engage with you and sign for it, what was that like? How, talk us a bit through how that happens. It's, again, I assume it's through your agent.
Yeah, my agent's been in contact with them for the last 1.5 years, and they've always been interested, but it just didn't work out last year. So I kept in contact with them as well, because I know a few of the DSs, and we just keeping them updated on my races and sort of what happened in them. And it was just after Nationals time, they offered a spot, which I was still really happy with it. It's like my dream for the last 5 or 10 years. And then I was expecting an offer from Astana, so I didn't want to. I want to say yes to EF, but didn't want to stay up until waiting for Astana because they'd given me the chance to race for them this year. So I waited for both offers, and they're both offering similar things, but I think my progression will be better at EF than it will be at Astana. So I went for that option.
Is that a couple of year contract? What's the?
Well, the first contract is always a minimum of 2 years.
Okay.
But I was lucky to get 3.
Oh, okay.
So,
Nice.
yeah, I've got a bit of time to
Yeah.
sort of get used to pro-level races and the next step up.
That's a big commitment. But then obviously for you, to a point, takes pressure. I'm sure you want to perform anyway. But
yeah, I'm not seeing it as I've got 2 years to just
chill out.
to get enough on there. I want to win races next year, but it's nice. Like every year prior to this one, it's been 1 year contracts, and you get to like July time even, and you're sort of stressing each race whether you'll get renewed or move up. So it's sort of nice to not have that pressure and just focus on the stuff you need to do.
When you hear that off someone who's come through your league, tell me what you're thinking.
I just think it's marvellous. It's so inspirational to all the kids. We've got them now, and they want to, be the best. And, the success of the riders that have gone before them is, we've got such a list of, I've got this book here for 1 year of the NSC and all the things that happened. And you forget how good these, they were, when they were children, how good they were. They were beating sort of everybody in Scotland, Britain, and the United Kingdom. So when they get to max stage, it's sort of the icing on the cake, and so proud, and that they've wanted it, and that they work hard, and that they deserve it. And you can't fool people when you're going for gold. You've really got to be on top of your game. So it's just it's marvellous for the Isle of Man, and marvellous for the person and family and everything, and what an opportunity.
So one of the things we talk about community-wise, if I look at, Paul and Max being here, is the work you do down there, ultimately the work you can do now with sponsors like RL, who I know supported you for a long time.
30 years they've been with us, and it's just been marvellous. And it all started out with a lady called Sandra Miller, whose children were racing down at the NSC. And we were really living by the smell of an oily rag. And she said to me one night, she said, I might be able to get some money from my company. Do you want me to ask? And I said, well, yeah, if you can. And they agreed that they would sponsor us. And we got £500. And we thought, oh my God, we're millionaires, And this is 30 years ago. And then we got some kit, and I think the first day we had it was when you were racing in the youth tour, Matty Luca. And I live on the Braid Road, and it was the Ellerslie stage, and all the Team RL 360 came down the road at Glenvine, and I was just coming out of the house, and they were all there. There was about 14 of them, all in their new kit and everything. I was burst into tears. And when we launched the kit, of course, we'd ran out of money again. So I asked Woody at the Palace, could we have a night in the middle of the week to launch it? And he said, he sort of said, what do you mean? And I said, we haven't got any money, but if we just let's have a room. And then so then he said, oh, go on then, you can come and have the room. I said, do you think you could just put some lemonade out, some squash? And then could you put a few little nibbles out? And we got Steve Hislop, Steve Colley, David Knight, who's the other one? Neil Hodgson. I can't remember the other one now. Oh, the one on the trials bike, that was Steve Colley's adversary.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Anyway, they all signed the kit, and they were like, big names. And because at the time we had no current big names to sort of brag about, apart from people who'd gone in the past, like Steve Jochen and everything, but we decided to, and John Watty and Tim Glover came down, and all these were here, Steve Hislop and everybody came, Neil Hodgson, and all the kids had their new kit on, and Woody'd put some bits on, and it was just the best night, you know, and all the kids had to have a question, and they were asking them everything, and it was very inspirational, and that was the start of it. And then, of course, we were, you know, when the youth tour came, and they were all in their kit. It was really great. And we still got the kit today, and it was designed by Desi Clegg, who was whose father ran International Cycling Week in its heyday from the very beginning. Then Mike O'Hare took over, and of course Desi was part of the committee and did all the artwork and everything, and he designed the kit. And of course, when International Cycling Week was on, we had some, you know, the super duper names that came over, Fausto Coppi and all the names that you can imagine, because there was no close roads in Europe. So they all used to come over to the Isle of Man to race. It was brilliant.
I mean, you think about the RL relationship, probably not in many areas of classes of life where someone has a sponsor for 30 years, the same sponsor. So
absolutely not. And I think it was Royal London at the time. It's changed its name through, and then it became RL 360. But we've always got on, you know, and they come down, and all the staff have always been involved in what we're doing, and I go up and tell them what's happening, and you know, it's just it's a real community support, and I just can't imagine life without them, to be honest.
And I suppose a similar question, Max, when we talk about the DOT, and I mean, you'll openly admit, obviously, DOT, there's a team of people around you helping you run that thing, volunteers that many go, I suppose, unsung in regard to the work they do over the years.
Huge. I mean, I've always involved the parents, because you can't do it on your own. And when you go away, if a parent's there, you know, you don't have to look after that child apart from make sure they've got to the line. But if, you know, if they have an accident or anything, and the parents there to look after them. Thankfully, not very often, but it does happen. And also, when they come back, all the people that go away, they all help down at the NSC. And some of them, like Vinnie Lund, they stay on and help.
Get more years out of it.
And just squeeze it a little bit. And like the ladies on the line, it's Corin Leeming's mum and James Harrison's mum, and you know, their kids are long gone. And I'm not just mentioning them because there's more, but Richard Colquitt comes down, Dave Black comes down, and their kids are married now and got kids, you know. It's just amazing. But it's worked because, you know, there's that family atmosphere, and, you know, who can, you know, you can rely on them.
So from your side, Max, and I know I was reading your post recently, ultimately as a supporter of DOT, but it's been many, I guess, bike shops locally, and you've got, sure, less cool private sponsors that helped you as well in your journey.
Yeah, there's been so many. I wanted to do the post because obviously it's me that gets to live my dream and do the nice life. There's so many people that have helped along that.
I'm not sure. Right, in Belgium, and the life, but enjoyable.
But yeah, there's so many people that have helped along the way, like Doc's League, wouldn't be a cyclist. So Doc didn't have a league there because I'd just be.
Anyway, we've got a little bit of support.
Yeah, I think it would have been doing something completely different to this Doc's League, and everyone that helps there. There's bike shops, there's like Bike Style supported me a lot, fixing my bike last minute and helping me with all that. Obviously the Manx like racing community as well, Doc's League and Manx Cycling Wheelers and various clubs, everything like that. So, like when I was thinking back when I was 16, I'd do Doc's race on a Tuesday night, the 10-mile time trials on a Wednesday.
It's my favourite.
Thursday night was the Bike Style handicap, then sometimes there'd be a race on the weekend or the club for another party. It's like you're not even really training, you just either racing or going out with your mates.
And there was a lot of, I suppose, ability to get pushed week in, week out constantly, isn't it? It's not one race a week either. It's it's 3, 4, let alone the training rides, which are more like races anyway.
It's sort of strange when I got out of school and I started having to train full time, because it felt weird having to train so much that wasn't with your mates or
Oh, okay.
in a race or something. It's quite strange.
Getting used to headphones.
Yeah, get used to being on your own.
So, I mean, we talk about milestones. We can't not talk about two things primarily. Well, many things, but one thing's the British Cycling Hall of Fame that you're in.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, that was a shock. And it was this British Cycling Hall of Fame, and I got this letter to say, and I'm not great with accolades, and I sort of want to just do it and get on with it. But we went down, and there was all sorts of people there, getting these marvellous awards, and it's I'm very honoured with all the awards that I get and have, and been recognised in that way. But first instance is, I just want to get on with this, organising and
So you got an MBE as well.
I got an MBE, and the envelope came, and I just looked at it and I thought, they've got the wrong address. They've got the wrong address. And I put it on the mantelpiece, and I just sort of ignored it a bit, because I thought, it can't be me. Maybe they've made a mistake. And then my husband said to me, somebody's got to a lot of trouble to get that sorted. You better answer it. So then once I answered it, I embraced it. And the family went to the palace, and you're allowed, I think, 3 guests with you inside the palace, 3 or 4 anyway. And funnily enough, I'd been taken out for a meal at this very posh restaurant opposite the Ritz Hotel, and it was previously owned by Michael Caine, the film star. And lots of famous people were in this restaurant. It was one of our stamp-related customers who brought us there, and from the post office. Anyway, the guy who was like the maitre d', he was sort of cleaning up the plates, and I said, what time do you get home at? And he said, by the time I get out here, it'll be about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I said, how are you getting home at that time? And he said, I've got a motorbike. And I said, I'm from the Isle of Man. We've got the TT races. He said, I'm going in June.
Oh, okay.
So, of course, he was my big mate then. And so when we went, we went down to get the MBE, I phoned him up and said, I'm going to book a table at this posh restaurant, took everybody there. So, and we were sitting by David Frost and his family.
Really?
So that was the famous person that was in. I didn't do any. With David Frost.
No, did you not? Because I had to pin it on you, I assumed. How does that work?
Yeah, you get it pinned on. Yeah. And it was just the most marvellous day. I was quite nervous, and I sat by a lady from Northern Ireland who had got an MBE for her part in the peace process. And she was very interesting. Then another lady on the other side was a little old lady from Wiltshire or somewhere who went round the village doing good deeds on her bicycle.
Okay.
So there was all sorts of people there. And the other person that was there was the comedian who used to appear with Les Dawson and Sissy and Ada. You might not know of them, but funny people. And I was talking to him as well. And he appeared in Coronation Street. So I felt very with all these famous people. Yeah.
Cool. Can we, Max, maybe just go a little nerdy for a little bit? Yeah. Before I go into that, I don't know whether you read an article, and this isn't meant in a negative way, but it's the 2 guys who've been on the Quick Step Development Squad, and I was reading an article a couple of days ago where they both come out and basically said, we're just at that level where it's so much effort to step up. I think they have the opportunity, but they're just the level's so high in the sport now. I need to sort of skim read the article. I want to say thrown in the towel, but they're just going down a different career. They're obviously seeing the challenge in moving up to that pro level, and for those that watch now, the top elite are just on almost on another planet. Does that do you see that? Do you look at how you just look at what you can control, which is your training and your, your development, and what happens in the future, and you have to race against irrelevant?
Yeah, so I obviously have my numbers I can do at the moment, and it's not near what Pigacci can do. Like I see what they're doing at the Tour de France, like, oh, maybe keep up for 10 minutes,
Yeah, right.
but not any longer. But I think
Does that daunt you when you see that?
it doesn't really daunt me. Maybe sometimes, but a lot of the time it just sort of motivates me that if they can do it, why can't I do it eventually? Their training, just getting older and developing more. Maybe I can do that one day too.
Yeah, right. I don't know whether anyone saw that you did actually a podcast recently with Peter Ottila. It's really worth a watch. He's kind of scientist, and the numbers they were talking about, it's like 5 hours, which is like mind blowing. Yeah,
I think I've done that in a race, but not in training. He's also about 10 kilos lighter than me.
Yeah. And he's just running around the hills.
Yeah.
The thing about being a top level, there's sort of elements that go to make a top level cyclist. And Bert Hope explained it to me one day. And you've got to have the talent, obviously. You've got to have a work ethic, and you've got to have a brain, And he said, if you haven't got one of those ethics, like, you might as well not bother. And I can see that in people who've had the most wonderful talent, but just haven't stuck at it. And
Where can you see that from when you see them down there, Bill?
Well, they just don't come back.
No,
But,
being like a 10-year-old, like, or she must see so many kids.
Yeah.
That kind of get the vibe of.
Yeah, if somebody really wants to do it, they'll do it, and you see it, quite often. And but it's never the same twice. But then, if they can't win easily, they tend to think, oh, if I can't do this, I'm not going to bother. I've tried my hardest, and you've always got to be thinking of the next step, and it's possible, and that's when the champions are made. When they exactly, and that's.
And look at it next year then, Max. And maybe it's too early at this moment in time. I assume you have input into your race schedule, what you're looking to do. How does that work?
I'm not actually too sure yet.
Okay.
I think I've got a camp in November, so I think we'll discuss the calendar there. I think I'll maybe have a bit of a say of what I'd like to do, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to be down to the managers that will see me as in certain type of roles in the race.
Anything specific you are wanting to?
Nothing really. No, I can
Just get out there, get experience.
I'd like to. I'm good at sort of everything, but not at the extremes. Like, I won't win a bunch sprint like Cowpel, and I won't win up an hour-long climb. But anything in between, I'm quite good at. But over the next few years, I sort of hope that I can sort of find my thing.
Got an idea what that might be now?
I think maybe breakaways, like that. I'm quite good at just riding hard all day.
What about TT?
Yeah, TT is a big focus, but I think that will sort of just work itself out as I get better as well.
Have you done Winton?
No, I'm not done Winton. I was in Girona last week doing a camp at the like sort of bike hoods, and we did sort of like a virtual Winton there, which was interesting. So the first thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
So that was like where they get you on the bike and they scan you around with the device into the computer, then that works out all the numbers. So we've done that for now.
All right.
Train that.
Zoom themselves just in your position.
Yeah, I'll try training that position and see if I can really when I actually go hard. I wouldn't tires and then go from there. But in the past, it's just been jump on the bike and I fiddle around a bit because I know what sort of works for me.
Experience.
Like, the longer it is and the narrower it is, be the better for me.
Right. No.
Too low down because I'm not too flexible, but I think that's somewhere I can improve quite a lot. So I haven't really done any specific tests.
Yeah. Yeah, I assume they'll implement that type of thing as part of the development program for you. Okay, all right. Well, thanks, guys, John. I'm going to put Max slightly on the spot by saying, it'd be amazing if we could catch up every so often, maybe virtually, because I think you got living in Tilbury, you were saying, weren't you?
Yeah, maybe.
And follow that journey of, what was the first few camps like, and just that journey, the first year of a pro, and understanding how the team dynamics work, and understanding your journey through that. Because I imagine it's an inside story. I imagine it's fascinating for someone who's been chasing the dream for so long.
Yeah, sure, it'll be interesting. It'll be
Keep a diary.
a big learning kind of know that.
We'll do the podcast diary with them. Can you do a
I
diary?
love, do you know what I love? I love watching athletics. I love any sport on the telly, but athletics. And there's a girl who does the high jump. And after every jump, she gets the diary out and writes down what she's feeling, where she went wrong. Oh, yeah.
What we said.
Methodically.
I do that with my training, but not with general life.
Yeah, but she's brilliant.
Yeah, it's kind of journaling around. Yeah, how do you feel?
Yeah.
How you jump, what you did right, what you did wrong.
Yeah.
You can go back and look at it.
Yeah.
We can do that all the bullying. That would.
Yeah, I do that a bit with Sports Aid.
Okay.
The reviews of each race, that helped me quite a bit.
Oh, okay. To give feedback to them.
Yeah, well, not with feedback to them, with Richard's telling me like a thing after each race. I'd sort of make a list of things that like would make up the race, position, fuel, and
Okay.
I made a template, and then after each race, sort of analyze how I did on each one and what to improve for the next race.
Yeah.
Do you find that's helped you? Because obviously you look at the other side in terms of the team, and they're very numbers driven, and like you said, doing all sorts of tests. That's more that mental side, that
Yeah.
your own reflection and feedback. That pair quite well with them.
Yeah, because like the numbers and the racing side, I sort of just leave for the coaches to do, and I do the training and tell them how it feels. But the actual technical side of me in the race, then it sort of me that knows what I've done in the race. So just using my brain more in races has helped.
Do you ruminate much after? Because I think when we were chatting to Rich, he talked about journaling as part of that. If you finish a race and maybe you internally feel you didn't perform as well, you made mistakes. He said often journaling is a good way to get it down and be able to move on rather than, wake up at midnight going, oh,
If only.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because also it just helps actually improving as doing some race. I feel like after on the plane back or something, I just see the result. 30th are pretty very good. But when actually look at the things I've done to become 30th, so actually breaking it down and knowing what to do better next time is help rather than just seeing as a result as good or bad. Just actually a bad result. I might have done actually quite a few things right and it's just not worked for me today.
Yeah, interesting. Cool. Thanks for always joining us. Thanks, I suppose, Doc, from the community for all the work you do and continue to do.
Wow, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And obviously, good luck, Max, on your you see, getting to the point of chasing a dream. That dreams are possible through hard work and dedication.
And could I just say, from Team RL 360's point of view, all these guys that go away and everything, it's just amazing that, they've reached the standard they have. And quite honestly, people say, does it surprise you? And it doesn't really, because I can remember the day that I got a phone call, very important phone call, and they were I was at a race with the kids, and I was walking around, and I went back to this marshal who I'd been talking to, and he said, "What's that? What are you smiling about?" And I said, I've just heard some good news. And I said about Mark Cavendish. And he said, Mark Cavendish, he said he wanted to be in my team, but I didn't take him. And I said, well, he's just won his first stage in the Tour de France. And he went like that, oh, God, Yeah.
It's all out to you now. We're producing all these pros.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I say it's wonderful, and it's wonderful for the Isle of Man. Yeah. Anybody who does well in sport or the arts or whatever, it's just great that this tiny little island, 30 miles across, 10 miles wide, can just, it's the perfect place on earth.
Thank you, Dot. If you want to hear Dot's voice more, go to the Gaiety because she does all the introductions.
Oh, yes.
She loves as well.
Go and get your ice cream.
And your ice creams. Thank you, Dot. Thanks, Max.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
It's a word out from Mon.
Word out from Mark.
Poor flimsy humans. Don't you wish you were flawless like me? A towering inferno of physical perfection?
I hate to pop your blimp-like ego, but you're not perfect.